Hi and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about how we can reframe the way we look at life. We tend to have a lot of negative interpretations about why we struggle and how we look at problems. And so I want to reframe our interpretations to bring some purpose and meaning to the journey of life. So if you find yourself asking, why does this happen to me? And you find yourself perhaps an exception, you find your situation to be unique. And when you compare yourself to the people around you, it feels like you've been specifically picked out and bullied by life. Like it's just chosen you as the victim. And that is a very dangerous way of thinking, and it can lead you to feeling hopeless about life. It can lead you to feel like life is unfair, and you're always comparing your life to others, and you just can't make sense of why you have a more difficult life than the people around you. Firstly, people who feel like that usually are surrounded by people who don't have similar experiences. But if you zoom out and you go outside of your bubble, you will realize that there are people that do go through exceptional circumstances and exceptional suffering and adversity. And when you compare yourself to the entire world, you do realize that your suffering compared to other people across the world, it has no comparison as well. The difficulty is when you compare yourself to the global suffering of people, you find that your situation is better. But when you compare yourself to the people that are around you, you feel like your situation is worse. And so it can make it difficult for you to accept life as it is and accept the adversities that you experience in life. One way we can understand life that is a bit more empowering is that we look at life as though it deals cards. So everyone gets cards, everyone gets dealt cards, and everyone's cards are different. Some people have good cards, some people have weak cards, and their starting point to life is at a disadvantage compared to other people. There will be people that have really bad cards and really have a really poor start to life, and there are people that have some bad cards and some good cards, and then there's just people that are lucky enough and fortunate enough to have good cards from the get-go. And when you're playing a game, the important part is not what cards you get, it's how you play the game. And although you might start off with very bad cards, if you play the game right, you can win in the end. So it was never about the cards that you were dealt. Obviously, it gives you a bad start to life. It puts you at a disadvantage, but it doesn't mean that you can't win in life. And that is what I want to focus on. When you have been dealt bad cards by life, it doesn't mean that you can't succeed. It doesn't mean that you can't be a healed and whole person. The choices that you make in life determine that. And that is why this interpretation is a lot more empowering, because it puts the power in your hands. It doesn't tell you that your life is dictated by the cards that you're dealt. It tells you that your life is dictated by your actions and your choices and how you play the game. And so this is something that I would think about a lot, which is when the people that I'm around seem to have it, not that they seem to have it easier, they do have difficulties, but it feels like there's certain experiences that I've had that are just exceptional. But then when I look at the world globally, I realize my suffering is smaller compared to theirs. There's so much suffering in the world if you follow the news, and your life is so much better in this part of the world than if you're in the other part of the side of the world. There's war, there's poverty, there's all sorts of things happening around the world. And when you look at yourself compared to people who have it easier, it's very easy to ask the question, why me? And when you compare yourself to those who have it harder, you always ask, why them? And why is it that I have the privilege to live in this side of the world with freedom and with no fear? I wake up and I don't have to fear that my life is in danger. And so life is unfair. That's the fact. Life is unfair. It's unfair to you, it's unfair to others. No one, some people have it easier and some people have it harder. And some people have privilege. Some people are born into privilege and power. Some people are born without privilege and have less power in the world. That's just how life is. But if we take the focus away from the starting point and we focus on the choices that we make, the actions that we take, we can, in the end, live a very fulfilling life. Perhaps more than people who have power and privilege. It is easier for people who are born into power and privilege to forget about who they are. It's very easy, it's easier for them to not care about, to have less compassion, to not have the qualities that people who have been through suffering have. The people who have been through suffering are a lot more compassionate, are a lot more empathetic. They're the ones that create change in the world. They're the ones that contribute to society. These are the positive aspects of people who go through suffering. And you can't take away from that. We also have strengths. So the people who have suffering are not just left without any advantage at all. They do have strengths. They have emotional strength. They can also have intellectual strength. They understand things in a different way to other people. They might have social strength, the way that they can relate to other people. You know, people have strengths and they can also have weaknesses, and perhaps the weakness is that you have adversity that, you know, feels unique to you, but you also have strengths, and it is your strengths that you have to utilize and take advantage of. And it is through your strength you're going to propel yourself to success. And the last mindset that I want to highlight is looking at adversity and misfortune in life as a challenge. We tend to look at adversity as a problem rather, and when we look at things as a problem, when we look at life as a problem, it implies something is wrong and then you need to fix it. It comes with a negative feeling. A problem is never welcome. You never want problems in your life. A problem also comes with difficulty, and no one wants difficulty. So a problem, when we look at adversity as a problem, we frame it in a negative way. If we look at life as a challenge, then what we're doing is we're flipping the script. It is similar to a problem, but with a challenge, it can carry both negative and positive connotations, but a challenge is welcome. It's an opportunity to grow, it's an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to better. A challenge can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing, but it is not inherently bad. It signals that it might test you, it might be difficult, but it will stimulate growth. And that is the most important thing. When you have to address a problem, it comes with the feeling of distress, it comes with a feeling of avoidance, and it's not something that's comfortable. It might also mean that there's conflict involved. But when there's a challenge, it invites you to compete. It invites you to bring out your competitive nature and to face it head on and to overcome it using your strengths. And even to overcome it using strengths that you don't even have. When I've looked at setbacks in my own life as a problem, it makes you feel depressed, it makes you feel defeated by life. And when you reframe that as a challenge, now it brings out your competitive nature and it's asking you how far you will go and how much resilience you have to overcome this. And because I identify as resilient, because I identify as strong mentally and emotionally, I'm willing to meet the challenge. I'm willing to meet the adversity and attempt to overcome it. But when I look at adversity as a problem, it feels out of my control. It feels unpleasant. It feels unnecessary. and we forget that adversity comes with growth, it comes with learning, it can come with so many positive benefits. There's areas that we need to grow, there's areas that we're ignorant, that we're making mistakes in. The human being is never perfect, so there's always areas that it can grow. And not only does adversity make life more meaningful, and it drives you to create a better life, it tests your ability to become a person that you admire and that you respect, but it also makes you turn inwards, and it allows you to reflect and discover yourself. When you have comfort, you don't tend to look inwards, you don't tend to sit with yourself. But when you have pain, you tend to be pushed to a state where you have to sit with yourself, and you have to sit with the ugliness of it and overcome it. And so these are the mindset that would help people to face challenges and face adversity with a lot more resilience, and to overcome them with patience. Just knowing that life is a challenge. So if we just review, we look at the first one we mentioned was looking at life as though it's dealing you cards, and it's not about the cards you're dealt, it's about how you play the game. The second one is that everyone has strengths and weaknesses. Your weaknesses might be the adversities and setbacks you have, but you also have very unique strengths, and that is what you should utilize and focus on when trying to face and overcome problems. The third concept was looking at life as a challenge and not a problem, and reframing things in a more positive way so that it drives you and it doesn't diminish you, and you don't feel defeated by adversity. So thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.